Hello, everybody. Welcome into my latest live broadcast. Today, it is the 25th of May, 2023. It is Thursday. My name is Kerry Holzman, and today I've got a mini PC review. Only this time, the company that makes this mini PC doesn't play with us. So we bought it and just went to Amazon, bought it like you would. This is a bare bones kit, which means we have to provide our own storage and RAM and operating system. So in that regard, I've got the TEAMGROUP 4 terabyte. This is on sale at Amazon today for $189. This is a 4 terabyte Gen 4. Is it Gen 4 or Gen 3? I think it's a 5-year warranty. And, well, you know what? We'll just look up the Amazon page here in a minute. And then we've got 64 gigs of 3200 speed DDR4 RAM, 32 gigs each. That's going to max this thing out. This is $100 on Amazon all day, all the time. Both provided from this company called TEAMGROUP, which is quickly becoming a new favorite of mine for all things RAM and storage related. Hopefully we'll have some more from them in the future. Today's mini PC is an ASUS branded mini PC, and the reason I'm going with this is to demonstrate for you that a lot of the mini PCs I've been showing up until this point have been a bit limited in support because they're all based in Asia, and as a result, they don't really have any US entity. And I've been encouraging you all to buy from Amazon so you have a 30-day return process with Amazon. For example, I ordered a NAND 9 directly from Minis Forum, and 3 weeks went by after the order, and I didn't hear from them. And I sent them an email and said, "Hey, what's the status? I don't mind, having to wait. I just would like to know how long I should be expecting to wait." They said, "Oh, we just sent it out to you. Sorry for the delay. Give it a week to get there, and then a week to get through customs, and then 2 weeks after that, and you should have it." Like, okay, so 7 weeks total from the time I ordered it. You order from Amazon, you're going to have it, sometimes the same day or next day or within 2 days. A lot of times, if you're Amazon Prime, you have a 30-day return period. If I wanted to return this, there's no way I'm shipping it back to Hong Kong or wherever it's coming from. I don't even know. So I do like Minis Forum, don't get me wrong. And the price was excellent. But part of the reason the price was so good is they're getting to skirt around all the government regulations here in the USA by not being in the USA, best I can tell. The same holds true with Ace Magician and all the others I've been showing. When a company does business here in America, they have to deal with all the regulatory agencies. So ASUS makes mini PCs, I think Acer. And of course, we've looked at the Dell and HP and Lenovo business class mini PCs. And you can expect the support that comes along with a company operating officially here in the USA. The world of the internet is a strange one in that you can order things you could not buy and perhaps would be illegal for sale here, maybe. So for example, there's a guy on YouTube that orders electric cars from China. And they ship him an electric car. They're tiny little cars. They're about as big as this desk. Not much bigger, maybe a little taller, but they ship it on a pallet. And it is not a street legal vehicle. There's so many regulations in car manufacturing, everything from headlights and tail lights to, you've got to meet so many regulatory, you wouldn't believe what the government requires for a car to be street legal today in the United States. In Japan, it's my understanding that no cars will be licensed older than 3 years old. They just won't, because of emissions, they won't license the car. Google it. No cars over 3 years old on the streets of Japan. But here's the thing, if you own your own land, say you've got a big property, you can drive the vehicle on your own property all you want. So this guy, he goes out and he buys these Chinese cars, these electric Chinese cars, and he drives around his property. One he really liked, and I think he was making it, whatever the very bare minimums were to make it street legal. I think he was doing the modifications himself. Anyway, I have already diverted from today's subject matter. But the point of that was to say that back when I was growing up, that wasn't an option to skirt around the US government and to buy directly from a manufacturer in another country, unless you knew somebody or you were in an importing industry. That just wasn't done. Today, it's no big deal. And as a result, consumers may not know the difference when you're ordering from one website that looks like any other website, that there may be a reason why the price is so much cheaper beyond the fact that it's a smaller company you never heard of and don't need the profit margins of the big companies. Fact of the matter is, the bigger companies, your Walmarts and your Amazons, to name two big companies, offer lower prices, right? Amazon has lower prices, Walmart has lower prices, Dollar General has lower prices. So the logic of what we were brought up, the era has changed from the marketplace from when I was growing up to what it is today. And so you can buy dangerous products. You can buy unknowingly illegal products. Many people will buy pharmaceuticals illegally, knowingly, that who knows what they contain. Maybe they're legit, maybe they're not, without a US regulatory agency overseeing the quality and potency of the medication. Who knows what you're getting? And customs sometimes stops that stuff, but it's usually when it's in big quantities. You know, they're not stopping every little package going through. They don't have time for it. So you want to do that to yourself? I guess you can do it to yourself. So if you're one of these people that's like, look, as much as I like the B-Link or the Minisform or the Ace Magician, the prices are very, very attractive. I'm a little uneasy when it gets to support at all. Because essentially, well, Ace Magician is very good with handling email support, between the fact that they're not 24/7 and there is a half a day time difference between us. You're not going to get a response right away in most cases. You'll have to wait a day or two, or over a weekend, you're not going to get a response. And doing a return is not easy. Or doing an exchange or a repair. So you might be of the personality where you want peace of mind and you want to buy from a known trusted source. So for example, the Intel NUC, kind of the original mini PC, if you will. ASUS is entered the marketplace, and I think there's a couple others. And the price difference isn't as bad as you might think. Let's take a look at Amazon. Let's take a look at the prices on everything today, and you can do the math in your own head, considering what we have to provide, the kind of support we're getting, the name brand behind it, versus how much you really are saving when you order something of similar, RAM, CPU, something similarly outfitted, because you got to compare it the same, right? We're not comparing a Celeron to an i5 here, or a 9th generation to a 13th generation. If we compare everything else being equal, the ASUS is probably going to be a little bit more, but I don't think it's going to be that much more. But let me share with you the website, and we'll take a look at it together, because, or the Amazon page is what I mean to say when I say website, because I'm just going to put everything to Amazon so you can purchase everything from one place and have that peace of mind and customer service, okay? And everything will probably arrive together. You're not waiting for your RAM for 3 weeks when you've got everything else and you're just itching to turn the thing on and use it, and that's eating away your return period time on everything else. So everything should arrive mostly together. So let me turn on, let's see, my window capture. Turn off camera 1. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is the ASUS PL63 mini PC. This is what we've got today. This is a Core i5 11th gen. It's an 1135 G7. It can hold up to, as previously mentioned, 64 gigs of DDR4. That's the biggest stick of DDR4 you could buy is 32, and it only can hold 2 of them. So not difficult to see what the limitation there is there. You're only going to have one PCIe M.2 slot. And it's empty. The RAM slots are empty and the PCI slot is empty because this is a Barebone. And that also means there's no operating system. But what it does have built in is Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth. There's 2 USB-C ports that are 3.2 Gen 2. The USB-C supports DisplayPort 1.4 and power delivery. It's got a hardware TPM and a VESA mount. So if you wanted to mount this thing behind your monitor or hang it on a wall, you could do that. It's $286. Now, I just showed you a 4 terabyte NVMe drive, right? Check this out. This is a crazy price. The TEAMGROUP NP34. I love these drives. I love them. It is a Gen 3. It's not Gen 4. It's a Gen 3 drive. It's $189. That's the cheapest I've ever seen it. It wasn't this price yesterday. That's 4 terabytes, and no heat sink is required on that at all. Get them while you can get them. Free shipping. That's a really good deal. 5-year warranty on that bad boy. And then for the RAM, as I mentioned, same company, TEAMGROUP, their T-Force Zeus DDR4 RAM, $99.99 for what is 64 gigs, running at 3200 speed, which is perfect. Perfect for a mini PC. We're not overclocking a mini PC. That's ridiculous. I got other things to do with my life. So anyway, there's the deal, right? So you can add that $100 plus 190. So we're at $290, and you add that to the price of the unit, which is $286. Let's just round that to $290 and $290. That puts us at $580 plus sales tax if you live in a state with sales tax. And with the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are already built in, and we need to provide our own Windows operating system. We can put Windows 10 or 11. I'll put Windows 11 on it. But when I put Windows 11 on, I always go to VIP CDK deals, and I always buy a Windows 10 key because the Windows 10 keys are cheaper. You do not have to install Windows 10 for the free upgrade. The upgrade only cares if you have a valid product key. That's the way all upgrades from Microsoft have ever worked. All these people wasting their time putting on a previous version of Office or a previous operating system so they can upgrade it don't understand how this works. You do not install the older operating system. All you're doing is gumming up a brand new machine. You don't want to do that. You not want a lean, clean machine, a nice, clean install, fresh and clean. Oh, it's so good. It's so fast. It's so reliable. Ooh, it feels good. Don't ruin that. So put your Windows 11. I'm going to put Windows 11 Pro on, fresh and clean, with no product key, just like I always do. And after the broadcast, I log in over at VIP CDK deals. I buy my Windows 10 Pro product key for $16 using my coupon code. I use my own coupon code. And then I type in to activate Windows, and it says enter your key, and I put the key in that I get from VIP CDK deals. Product is activated and tied to that motherboard without a Microsoft account or with, doesn't matter. It's tied to that motherboard, so I never have to enter the product key ever again. Come on. So $16 for the operating system. What's our total price on that? Now compare that with an equivalently equipped machine from these other manufacturers like Minis Forum and B-Link and Ace Magician, Camrui, and you'll see they're a little bit cheaper. But you're on your own. After 30 days, you are on your own. Now, in most cases, that's going to be fine, but in a rare occurrence, if you're one of those people, and I meet a lot of these people, well, if it's going to happen to somebody, it's going to be me. Everybody I talk to says that. The reliability on this stuff is really, really good these days. Manufacturing is not like it was in the 80s or the 70s or even the 90s. Manufacturing is very, very good. And in all likelihood, if all this stuff works for 30 days, as long as you don't go gumming around in there, gumming it up, leave it alone and actually just use it the way it's intended to be used. Stop trying to put on different operating systems and just, I mean, do it if you want, but understand that when you get yourself, if you get yourself in a hole too deep you can't get out of, you might be stuck there for a while, unless you get the name brand units like the Intel NUC or the ASUS. So with that being said, the couple other things I want to go over on the ASUS are the rest of the Amazon page and how they describe the units. Let me go back over there real quick because I forgot to do this. If we scroll down here, it says it's powered by an Intel quad-core i5-1135G7. That goes from 2.4 and turbos up to 4.2 gigahertz. with integrated Iris Xe graphics. It is a solid metal chassis. And it's got a 2.5 gig onboard LAN along with Wi-Fi 6 networking, and will support Gen 4 M.2 drive. So I'm actually going to sell myself short on this Gen 3 drive now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe I should switch that out. Honestly, chasing these numbers is really, really stupid. I can't emphasize enough and I'm not quite sure the best way to approach this. I was looking up in the forums on Reddit about people that are complaining about slow SSD speeds, right? And I find that the level of intelligence on Reddit seems to be a little higher up than on other forums elsewhere. So I find myself going back to Reddit more and more. And what I saw was something I kind of like to see, which is somebody saying, hey, my NVMe drive is only going 1,000 megabytes per second. It's supposed to do like 3,000. And when it was running at 3,000 or 1,000, I cannot tell the difference. I admit it, I cannot tell the difference. But I paid for 3,000, so I want 3,000. In other words, the only way they know that they're not running at 3,000 is by running a benchmark, by running something like Crystal Disk Mark. If somebody took that away from them, or any sort of benchmarking software, they would have no idea how fast their NVMe drive is running. And if you continue to follow these forum threads, there's a like-minded, I don't know if it's an illness, I don't know what you'd call it, but they're obsessed with getting that speed, even though they admit they will never know the difference. They're just looking at the benchmarks. Okay, I mean, I understand it, but then here's the thing. They end up finding the response from the manufacturer to be unacceptable. And the way the story ends a lot of times is they drop that manufacturer, they go to a completely different manufacturer, and their problem goes away and they're happy. So they stress out themselves emotionally. They stress out their bank account by replacing a perfectly good piece of equipment with another equivalent piece of equipment from a different manufacturer. And the only real world difference is that when they run the benchmark, they're seeing the number they want to see. And these threads can go on for weeks as they're obsessed with trying to figure out, why am I not getting that, right? And I talked about that myself with my Dell XPS. The write speed dropped. Well, I reached out to Sabrent about it and saying, is there a firmware update? Because the Sabrent tool's not working. It says drive must be in FW mode, like firmware mode. But it doesn't explain what that is or how to enter that mode, and therefore won't even go online to check to see if there's a firmware update. And support emailed me back and said, don't worry about it. There is no firmware that fixes a performance issue, and we stand behind our product. And send me the smart information on the drive. So I sent him the smart information, and he goes, so your drive is 2/3 full, and we recommend you have the drive no more than 64% full. If you fill the drive more than 64%, your write speed is going to start to falter. Now look, it's any sort of storage drive is going to slow down when you approach the maximum capacity. It doesn't have much elbow room to kind of work around it. But that's usually 10-15% of free space of the total drive size. What's the point of buying a 4 terabyte drive if by filling it a little over halfway, your performance goes down the toilet? So his solution to me was, now remember, I'm not having any complaints. The drive is fast. I'm looking at benchmarks. I'm doing what all these people on Reddit are doing. He goes, here's what you need to do. You need to erase the drive entirely. Wipe it. Use our Secure Erase tool. Then reinstall Windows all by itself. Then run your benchmarks again and see if your numbers are back up where they should be. If so, then you can start putting data back on the drive. and try to avoid filling it more than 65%. So my 4 terabyte drive is a 2 terabyte drive. So what do you think I'm going to do? Here's the thing. It's not so much that I really need to see that number on the benchmark. I really don't. But I want to know why. I want to know if am I getting just a generic reinstall it and it'll be fine, just to keep me busy for a couple days? Now look, it's no big deal for me to wipe the drive. Do you know why? Because I have backups. It's no big deal. I don't have backups because I'm getting ready to wipe the drive. You need backups when you don't think you need backups. So you should have a backup updated at all times. Your drive could fail before I end this sentence. But I hear people all the time go, well, I'm going to wipe my drive, so I better back it up first. No. You should have backed it up already. People that have lost data, the reason they lost their data is because they weren't expecting it to happen. So I don't have to back up my drive before I do this because I've already done it. And if everything goes sideways and I screw it up, I always have my backup. It's really no big deal. It really isn't. But I'm curious if this guy is just giving me some boilerplate response or if there's some truth to it. And further, I'm curious, is that a Sabrit thing? Is that with this specific model or is that across models? Because if that's the case, then I think I'm going to find myself in that school of sick people on Reddit that are going to replace the drive with like a Western Digital where I don't have this issue. Heck, I can replace it with this drive right here, 4 terabytes for $200, $190, and see if I get my drive numbers back, my performance numbers back. And it's not, in my case, it's not because I need those numbers. It's because I want to see, is this a technological limitation or is this a manufacturer design limitation? How else am I going to know? And then I can share that information that I learned from this process with all of you. I think if I wasn't doing this YouTube channel, I think I'd just leave it at 1,000. And it's not just, I don't want to put the time into it because at the end of the day, all it's changing are the benchmark number. If that benchmark came back and said 3,000 versus 1,000, I wouldn't know the difference. I wouldn't even know. I'd be, oh, it's running like it should. Okay. It's so stupid. It is so stupid. And this is going to get worse. So, well, this is a Gen 3 drive, and this is a Gen 4 mini PC. Putting a Gen 4 drive in here that will run twice as fast is only going to result in literal milliseconds of performance difference that most end users would never even notice. So, well, that was a long way for me to get there. I don't think I'm going to put a Gen 4 in here for that reason. It just looks good on benchmarks. The actual use of the machine isn't going to change. It's not suddenly like, oh, wow, look how fast that machine is now that I put a Gen 4 in compared to the Gen 3. You guys won't even notice. Only the benchmarks. And quite frankly, we could just make benchmarks up if that's all it takes to make you happy because you're trusting what the benchmark is telling you is not only accurate, but actually means anything in the real world. Right? I just want you to think about it. You do whatever you want, all right? But it's too many obsessive, compulsive enthusiasts online chasing crumbs instead of, going and getting fed. It doesn't matter to me. There's a whole big plate of food there, and they're worried about a pea that rolled off the plate. Oh, I better get that pea. There's a whole big plate of food. That pea isn't going to fill you up or make a difference. Just leave it alone. It's not a big deal. I love the internet. Welcome in, everybody. Hello. Let's take a look here at the chat room and see what I've been missing. Nathan Smith has become a supporter. Welcome, Nathan. Thank you for supporting the channel. Planet Cryos contributes $2 twice. It says hello. Welcome in, Planet Cryos. Ben Laird says hello from Scotland. Nick Poverman says it's only 7 months till Christmas. Marco says greetings and salutations from Italia. From Italy. Welcome in, Marco. I just had pizza at that place we met up, Marco, yesterday. Just was over there last night for dinner. Okay. Bob R says hello. Brad Revel says hello. Garfield, Rupe, Lou Greeny, and Patrick Russo, Brad Revel, and Duquesne, Alhaj Tepej, and LRCX. Welcome in, everybody. Camera Girl is not here, but maybe later. Let's see. Colin Hunt with a 5-pound contribution. Right on. Thank you, Colin. Cheers, mate. Michael Shaw wants to know, is what you said about the Windows 10 key working on Windows 11 also true with Office 2016 working on Office 2021? No, I do not believe going from one version of Office to another is as a free upgrade. The only free upgrade Microsoft offers is going from Windows 7 to Windows 8, 10, or 11. And you can do that every number up. So if Windows 7 Pro will activate Windows 8 Pro, it'll also activate Windows 10 Pro. That means it'll also activate Windows 11 Pro. So then therefore that means a Windows 8 Pro key will activate Windows 8 Pro, Windows 10 Pro, Windows 11 Pro. A Windows 10 Pro key will activate Windows 10 Pro or 11 Pro, and a Windows 11 Pro only activates the Windows 11 Pro. Office versions are handled entirely differently and are not an upgrade. As far as I know, the last upgrade I ever saw to Microsoft Office was Office 97, and I don't think Microsoft ever did it again. So no, you cannot upgrade Microsoft Office with, you have to get a product key specifically for the version of Office. That's how Microsoft does it these days. Ryan wants to know if I still use Malwarebytes. Highly recommended. Yes, I still use Malwarebytes. If you have problems with Malwarebytes, they have a great support. Just reach out to them. You can also type in your problem in Google with the words Malwarebytes and Reddit in the Google search, and you might even just find your answer on your own. Essential Working Too Hard says hello. Ryan says he uninstalled Malwarebytes. He noticed his computer is faster without it. I don't know if you have an older computer, but I don't notice Malwarebytes installed or not. It makes absolutely no impact on any computer I've ever installed it in forever, like as far back as reasonable, 4 or 5 years, 6 years. But, you know, if you're running a 10-year-old computer, maybe if you don't have a lot of RAM or you don't have a lot of processing power, if it's like a Celeron, it's only got 4 gigs of RAM, I guess anything could slow the machine down. But I don't experience anything what you're describing. But again, the Reddit forums over at for Malwarebytes or contacting Malwarebytes support directly would definitely be the way that I would pursue that. It's not normal. John says it sounds like you need to run trim on that NVMe drive. Oh no. I'm not new here. It's not my first time. You can rest assured I ran trim. Yes, trim runs automatically, but even then I still run it just to make sure it runs, and it didn't make an ounce of difference. Let's see. Garfield Huff says, I filled my Samsung 970 EVO Gen 3 500 gig to 80%, and I noticed a significant slowdown. Not by benchmark, but just normal Windows. Now keep that C drive to 50% max. That's interesting, and that is another drive on sale at Amazon, now that you mention it. If I go over here to my Amazon page, tell you what, let me just open up a new tab. And I'll type in Samsung 970 EVO. Check this out. Let me go over to my Windows capture. It's in here somewhere. Let's type in 2 terabyte up here. 114.99. So 115 bucks for a 2 terabyte Samsung 970 Evo Plus. This drive was a $500 drive. You can see $499.99. Now, I never paid that much for it. I paid upwards of $299.99. I remember advising Madi a couple years ago, maybe 18 months ago, not to buy the drive at the 300 plus. At some point it was $349. I'm like, don't buy it. It's going to come down. My limit on that was $299. And then for a long time, it was at $199. It stayed there, and that was a great deal. Today, 77% off that original $499 price at $114.99 in free shipping. I sound like a salesman, but I think I've used, if I look at my purchase history, 72 of these. And I haven't had a bad one yet. Not a bad one out of 72 shows my purchase history. Great warranty. It's a fast drive. 2 terabytes. Ooh, it's a good deal. Now, I also wanted to know if I could get away with some cheap drive manufacturer on a 2 terabyte drive. Because if you think that's something, check this out. NVMe, let's just say 2 terabyte. And there's great prices all the way down the line here. The SN770 at 109, that's even cheaper. And that's a pretty fast drive. The Samsung 980 Pro is Gen 4 at $140. That's a really good price. So SSD prices have been dropping. But there's this, I think, Japanese manufacturer I've never heard of before that is super, super cheap. So I think I'm going to build it on camera using the drive. Fanjing. Look at this. Tell me how this makes any sense. The Fanjing S880 2 terabyte Gen 4, which has 7,300 megabytes per second read speed, $89.99. What? What? It says you can apply a $6 coupon. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So it's $84 for 2 terabytes of Gen 4. Okay, well, what's the write speed? Well, if we scroll down here and look, it's a 1,400 terabyte written lifespan, which is right in that line of storage capacity. Everybody else does the same thing. The write speed is 6,600. That's really, really good. Okay, so what's the warranty? Well, according to them, I don't know how they can get that price that cheap. It doesn't make any sense. It says no heatsink is needed. 5 years after sales service. 5-year warranty. What? Okay, is it just me or is that... What? There's the numbers on the 2 terabyte read and write and terabytes written. 1,400 terabytes written. On my laptop that's 5 years old, and I write probably 40 gigs or more, maybe 100 gigs or more a day. I've hit 51 terabytes written in 4 years, 3 years. So, getting to 1,400 is crazy. What are the reviews? Lots and lots of 5-star reviews. Was nervous, but so far so good. Will be used in upcoming build. Best value for PlayStation 5. Sweet budget SSD. Satisfactory. Extra credit. Everybody seems pretty happy with it. So, I got to see for myself, and that's going to be more future content. So if you're wondering where these contributions in Super Chat, in the membership contributions are going, I'm buying nonsense like this to make to basically taste test for you if you should invest in some of this hardware or if you should avoid it. That's what I do here for you. I do it with your help. So thank you. OG Gaming just contributed $2 in Super Chat. I can't believe how cheap that is. That's insane. Brian contributes $1.10 Canadian. Andy Kane with €2 says every little bit helps. Glad to contribute. Thank you, Andy. Oystein, there's Oystein joining us from Norway. 5 years, it said. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Now, are they responsive? Like, what would happen if you needed to activate that warranty? First of all, would we need to? And secondly, if we did need to, is the company responsive and easy to work with? The only way to find out is to buy one and see how it goes. So I've ordered one, in case you were wondering. Dr. Bill with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Dr. Bill. Paul Garrett says hello. Nick Poverman says, I wish Samsung would make 4 terabyte NVMe drive. Yeah, what's the deal? What's holding them back? And you know, TEAMGROUP at Comdex, Computex, has introduced their Gen 5 drive, which hits 14,000 megabytes per second using an Ingrid controller instead of the Phison controller everybody else is using. And it's not for sale yet, but they're demonstrating it. They have the product, and they're showing it at Computex right now. And if you want to Google that, you can read about it. So sometimes, you know, when these first generation Gen 5 drives come out, same with the Gen 4s, you know, those Gen 4 drives were hitting 5,000. A year later, we're at 7,000, 7,500. We're maxing it out. So I expected the Gen 5 drives to wait a year, and then we'd hit 14,000. TEAMGROUP is leading the pack of all the companies. I think I'm back in a winner with TEAMGROUP. I think you better buy them before they realize they're pricing their stuff too cheaply. Because as soon as I get my hands on one of those Gen 5 TEAMGROUP NVMe's, I'll put it into the machine we did for the Corsair NVMe that's Gen 5, that's doing 10,000. And we should see a boost up to 14,000. Which again, isn't going to make much difference at all, but we all get so excited to look at the numbers. So let me make that investment for you. You can see it, and then you can also see it makes no difference in boot time. Loading things like Microsoft Office or Google Chrome or Edge, it's milliseconds difference. And if those milliseconds are worth it to spend that much money, don't let me get in your way. Okay, I guess I can unbox this. This has never been unboxed before because it's a bare bones. There was nothing for me to prep off camera. I've never used an ASUS Mini PC before either. So am I going to like it? Am I going to send it back to Amazon? I think I'm going to like it. An all-metal chassis, an i5, 11th gen. Seems like it's going to be a really good little box. I also like the antennas for the Wi-Fi are external. That means it's going to have better range than the little boxes where you don't see antennas, because obviously if the antennas are buried, they're not going to perform as well because they have to get through. First of all, there's not much antenna there, and secondly, it's back behind obstacles. So we get those antennas out in the open, we have better Wi-Fi range. Now, if you're just a few feet from your router, it doesn't make a difference. But if you're somebody who you're going to have that for quite some distance, and the Wi-Fi is going to be really important, and you're going to want it to have really fast Wi-Fi for this box to, I don't know, stream 4K content or something, then those antennas are going to be all the difference in the world. You can have the exact same network card, and the only difference is those external antennas. It can make all the difference in the world in the strength of your internet connection. So I'm going to grab the overhead camera here. So bear with me for a second, and I'm going to get this put into place. So we're going to go, let's see, this way, like so, and then out like that. I think, is that too far? I think that'll be good. Right about there, I think. I don't know why these keep loosening up on me. Seems like a weird way to design this thing, but that's all right. It beats me walking it up to the camera. So let me power this on, and you know when I turn this on because the lens extends out. And then we'll switch over to the close-up camera. And it's pointing at the floor. So let's bring it back. Oh, let's see, I suppose. A little adjustment here and there. Okay, I think that'll do it. So here's our 4 terabyte Gen 3 drive. And here's our 64 gigs of RAM, just as I showed you. This is the box that it arrives in. I mean, it doesn't get much more generic than this. Nothing says ASUS on it. There's no advertising on this box. It's just as plain and generic. We got some information on the bottom. That's it. It's our model information, serial numbers, and all that other nonsense. Okay, first time. Oh, boy, that's heavy. Amazing what an all-metal chassis can do for the weight. Do not want to drop that on your toe. Okay, so here's the box. There's our 2.5 gig Ethernet, DisplayPort, HDMI. This USB-C can be used as another DisplayPort out. 2 USB 3.2 Gen 2s. There's a power adapter, and there's our 2 antenna headers. Vents. There's the bottom of the unit. I guess that's a good place for the stickers to go. Just vents on both sides. And then the front, in the front we've got, looks like a reset switch. Is that a reset or is that a microphone? I can't tell what that is. There. I'll have to look that up. There's a headset microphone jack there. I just don't know if that's a built-in microphone or if that's, I think that's probably a recessed reset for the BIOS. Then there's your another USB Type-C, 2 more USB Type-A's, and then you've got a power. Ooh, that button goes in pretty deep. And then there's a couple of screws right here and right here. So I guess to open this up, and there's 2 screws here and here. So to open it, and we have to open it. So let's just set that aside for just a minute just to see what else is in this box. Something heavy in here. What is this? Documentation. Lots and lots of documentation. We've got some thumb screws for something. We've got a screw for an M.2. Oh, that's the standoff for the M.2. We're going to need that. 2 antennas. Going to need that. Whoops. I think I'm pushing on the keyboard, guys. My bad. Hopefully nobody's having a fit. That is the little screw needed for the M.2, so the screw goes into the standoff. These look like screws for perhaps a VESA mount. Speaking of VESA mount, that is a big VESA mount. But a heavier unit, so I suppose it's got to endure the weight. Power cable is a Mickey Mouse style power cable. And power brick right here. That out of there. Get this out of here. Because we're going to need that. Then I'm going to put this. How was this put in? I think it was like this. Then this piece went down like that. I'm going to need these 2 pieces. And I don't need that, so that can go. This box can go off to the side. So, and again, I'm not looking at any documentation. As a seasoned professional, should be able to figure this out on my own, unless it's terribly designed. Do you see how that works? If I can't figure it out, it's not my fault. That means they didn't design it well. But it looks like it is designed well. That's what it looks like. You take out that screw, really small little screw there. Careful where you put those screws. They're easily lost and very, very difficult to replace. That's our other one. There are 4 little rubber pads down here. That's a nice touch. We have 2 more screws, which I don't know what those cover. Let's take them all out of here. I don't know how far I got to tear into this. I assume if this is designed well, this is the only panel I should need to remove. They're all the same screws, so no issues with the screws that go into different places being different lengths or widths. That's good. I like to see that uniformity. And I would hope that this is the only piece we have to take off. However, I can see the metal bends right here. So it looks like this bottom piece is secured here, here, and no, that's the, yeah. This is all one, this is all one piece. This is like this piece goes this way and down. So we take out the screws that hold it flat this way, we take out the screws that hold it flat this way, and then we take out the screws that hold it flat this way. So we do have to take out 6 screws to get inside of it. That is because they're using a stamped piece of metal versus using plastic. If they used plastic, they wouldn't have had to have secured it in such a way. So it totally makes sense. I get it. You get it? I get it. And Barebone says the ASUS PN50 is slide to open. Yeah, that's pretty convenient. But then how often do you really need to open these anyway? You know what I mean? Like, once I put a 4 terabyte drive in here and 64 gigs, what's left? There's nothing left to upgrade as far as I can tell. All right, let's see if that just, oh, there we go. We've got some thermal tape here, which doesn't have any protection on it. Okay. There's our Wi-Fi card, which is easily replaceable. And there's our M.2 slot. There's our RAM underneath there. There's slots for the RAM. SODIMM A and SODIMM B. What's interesting is there's already a little standoff there. So why did they give us this standoff? Who's that for? There's only one M.2, which they said we're only going to have one. There's nowhere to put a 2.5-inch SATA drive, even though there's a SATA 6G header right here. There's no cable, and there's no place for a 6G, a SATA drive to go. Your CPU and cooler is down on this side, and so by removing these 2 screws and these 2 screws, you can see the whole board comes out, but there should be no reason for you to get to this other side. I can't imagine why you'd want to. But if you wanted to, it's super easy to get at. And I have a loose sticker in there. It's just flapping around right down in there. I don't know what it used to be attached to. I'm going to try and get that out. Let's see. Something had a part number. I don't know what it was attached to. Maybe it went on the motherboard. I don't know. No idea. Got a date code of 1/12/2022. That's almost 2 years ago. Year and a half. Huh. I don't know what to tell you. So let's see. We've got our RAM. That can go in first. Always bend the package to get the RAM out. Don't bend the RAM, folks. Oh, good, the label faces up. Even though when I put the cover back on, no one's going to see it. Okay, RAM's installed. And then storage. Now this should be the same storage drive I've been using for testing, so I think it has Windows 11 still on it. So we might be able to skip the Windows 11 install and go right to boot up. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know what this other standoff is for. Why did they give us an extra standoff? Weird. Well, that can go back in the box, but I do need the little M.2 screw. And you better write these part numbers down. If you lose these screws, you will have to contact ASUS. Is this gonna focus or what? Well, bottom line is you might want to save the bags because they have the part numbers, and I can't really show them to you. Because when you describe to ASUS what it is you need, sure, they could look it up, assuming they're looking up the right thing, or you could just tell them. And if there's a mistake, it'll be your fault. In other words, if you give them a wrong number. If you gave them the right number and they still ship the wrong thing, well, that's a whole nother problem. That screw is there. Why is it so wonky? Okay, that feels better. This wasn't going in straight. Okay, that's it. All done. Now, I'm not going to put all the screws back in it just in case I have to get back in there. So I'll just put the 2 on the bottom because those are the only 2 that really matter. Just that one there and this one here. And that'll keep everything aligned good enough. And that looks good. Take the power adapter, plug it in. Our cable has a nice Velcro tie that's permanently attached. That's a nice touch. I also like this kind of cable. It's more of a laptop style. And unlike some of the cheaper mini PCs that only give us a 4-foot or 5-foot power cable, we've got at least 12 to 15 feet of cable here between this cable and this one I can leave coiled up. I'm going to go ahead and plug that into my power adapter over here. And then I think I can switch back over to camera 1. I think we're done with the overhead. So let's go back camera 1. And then I will turn this camera off and you'll see its lens extend back in. And while that's turning off, I'm going to step around so I can loosen the arms up here. Bend it back out of the camera shot. That way, if we need it again, it'll be right there for us, ready to go on a moment's notice. All right. All right, so now I need a keyboard and a mouse. I can put my screwdriver away for the moment. Turn those on, keyboard on, mouse on, dongle inserted. There we go. And then I need an HDMI cable and an Ethernet cable, since this should already have Windows 11 on it. So let's grab, see, somewhere on the floor, I have an HDMI cable, which this appears to be that. I should get like a little sticky thing here at the edge of the desk to hold these for me. Just when I get it figured out, I'm going to have to leave. So I'm not in too big of a hurry to do that because I know I'm going to jinx myself, even though I know it's bad luck to be superstitious. Think about that one. Right. I'm going to leave the antennas off of it for now because I'm not going to go on the Wi-Fi. But you saw the antennas, you saw the picture, you know what it looks like, right? I'm not holding back anything. Let's go ahead and fire this bad boy up. There's a green power light that just came on. And let's go over to the HDMI input, see what this thing is doing. Hang in there, I'm going to turn camera 1 off. Right now it's not doing much, is it? I just see no signal. So we're doing our very first power on this, so it's got to train the RAM. And hopefully it doesn't have any compatibility problems with the RAM. I have never seen any compatibility problems with Team branded memory. And I'm going to put camera 1 back for a minute and put myself in a corner just so you're not thinking I lost signal. There it goes. It just took a while on that first boot. And like I said, I had Windows 11 installed already on a different motherboard. And yes, you can often move the operating system around like this. Not always, but a lot of times you can. And of course, it'll deactivate itself because the motherboard has changed. And all your software will deactivate, for that matter, because your motherboard has changed. So you'll have to reactivate everything. If you think you're saving a step by doing this, you're going to have drivers left over from the other system, and you're going to have drivers missing from the new system. It is not advisable to take the shortcut. I know it sucks to do a wipe and a reinstall, but if it's a machine you want to count on, bite the bullet, go through your reinstallation process. Within 2 weeks, you'll complain the whole time you're doing it. It'll feel like it's taking forever. It'll only take you a day, maybe 2 days. And then you're good to go indefinitely for years if you do it right. So it might be a little inconvenient to put everything back. It's totally worth it. It's an investment, and it's an investment that pays off really, really well. You take the shortcut, you get the quick payoff, except you might have lingering issues that start to appear over the long term that make you think you bought a piece of junk computer, when in fact it's your own fault that you were just too lazy to do the wipe and the reinstall. Whatever you choose, know what to expect either way. Okay. All right, let's take a look at HDMI input. Let's go full screen over here for me. Okay, here we go. Is this my crystal disk mark? Yeah. And device manager, we probably have stuff missing, I'm gonna guess. Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff missing. Look at all this stuff in here. So I suppose we should go and find that stuff first and foremost. So there's no driver disk or anything. And you know what? People just don't use those anymore. Nobody has a DVD drive these days. So things are changing. And you always want the latest drivers. Even if they were including a disk, you wouldn't want to use it. So we're looking for the PL63 drivers ASUS. Okay, global, that's us. That's our website. Let's go to support. You want the support down here. I know it says support up here. This is for ASUS support overall. The support down here is for the product that you're looking at on the page. So I want support specifically for that, yes. Select your model name. Does it matter if it's bare bones? It is a bare bones. I don't know what that's going to change. I click OK. Okay. And I want drivers, so drivers and utilities. We don't currently provide a software utility or drivers. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh. All right. So find a different model. It's so stupid. Okay. It really bothers me when I answer somebody's question in real life and they don't get the answer they want, so they rephrase the question. They ask me the exact same question like I'm a machine and I'm literal. But this is why people do that. So if we go back and say we just have the regular PL63 that comes with Windows 11, then the driver should be here. What am I missing? Product support for. Come on. Go back. Go back. Back. Support. Okay. Down here it says it's waiting. What are we waiting on? Nicholas Menard contributes $10 Canadian. Says, hey, Kerry, always good to see you. I miss Nutty, though. I can see him peeking up behind you. He didn't seem to be camera shy before. Hey, he's got a little burnout, you know. Support. No drivers here either. What the heck? What the heck? And here I thought, getting from the name brand, we weren't going to have this problem. Oh, those drivers are somewhere. I also notice it wants a reboot. Maybe some of the drivers came in automatically. Let's go ahead and See what it's saying. Installing some stuff. Yes, it is installing a bunch of drivers. What is AMD? Huh. Well, let's let it install, because maybe the reason they're not providing the drivers is we're going to get them all through Windows Update. Otherwise, we'll have to get a little more creative. Oh, help drivers. You don't want to get your drivers from here. This is just a big commercial. This scares me. BIOS and firmware. We can also check to see if we have a newer BIOS, and we definitely want to get it from ASUS, not from a third party. That's just too serious of an issue. So find another model. PL63 drivers. This just looks like frequently asked questions. Any PCs, drivers and tools. Oh, there we go. Drivers and tools. So even if they don't supply the drivers, they still need to supply a BIOS. So I'm going to click on that. And keep in mind, we've got updates happening in the background, so things are a little bit slow to respond. Oh, now wait a minute. This pulls up all the drivers right here. This is everything. This is fine. There are drivers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bookmark this page, because we're going to come back here. So we'll bookmark somehow. Edit. Done. And under, what's it going to be? Drivers and utilities. Here's 11. Drivers, LAN, wireless, chipset, audio, card reader. I don't see no card reader. Bluetooth, software. CPU and memory support. Wait a minute, let me go back over here. BIOS and firmware. They keep moving stuff around. Nothing? There it goes. Looks like 0403 is the version that came out back in September. I'm going to just grab it, even though I don't know if I need it or not. I'm going to grab it while I'm here. And what are we doing on our updates? Oh, just installed a video driver. Okay, restart now. I'm good to restart. Sure, let's restart it. Do I have a link for my keyboard and mouse? It's all on my Amazon page. If you look at the video description below every video I've ever made, you will see a link that says that you can buy anything you see on the channel listed at my Amazon page. I wish YouTube would shove the video description into the viewer's face, but it seems about 80% of the viewers of YouTube don't understand that how YouTube works. They don't pay attention to the date the video is made. They don't check the video description. And I can't blame them, because I guess it's YouTube's fault for not shoving that in their faces. But I'll tell you the same as I tell everybody. The links are in the video description below the video. And Patrick Russo very kindly just put a link directly there. But that's the same link that's in the video description. And there's a bunch of other information in the video description and other links that you might be interested in, including those Windows, discounted Windows licenses that I was talking about, coupon codes. Okay. Now, looking at our reboot. Oh, we're almost not quite there yet. I want to check my phone while I'm waiting. My internet here is, I don't know what's going on with it, but okay, I see. If you hear my phone beeping, during a live stream, it's because there's motion happening around the building. And I had to readjust the cameras the other day, so now I'm catching every car that drives down the street. Normally, if anybody's on the property, there won't just be one beep. It'll be a sequence of beeps as they move from camera to camera, like a delivery driver, mail post office, or something like that, a salesman. And so when I hear a beep, you know, I'm live. I don't need a distraction. I want to see what's going on. And if you were curious what all that was about, that's what it's about. Patrick says most people are on their phones. They don't know how to scroll. You can pull up the video notes on a phone. You can pull the video notes on a smart TV. Usually you just hold the button down on the remote and then the options come up. Yeah. I'd love to teach people how to use YouTube, because if you don't know to look at the notes and you don't know to pay attention to the date, you're only doing yourself a disservice, right? You're missing out on a bunch of information that may be there, including there may be information on how to enter giveaways and contests. And so because I'm live, I can answer your question while I'm live, but most people don't do what I'm doing here on YouTube. And so you are on your own to figure it out. Like I said, YouTube could do a much better job, honestly, of saying, hey, right here, check these video notes out. It should sort of show the video notes every time you go to play the video. That should come up with the video notes for like 2-3 seconds on the screen, and then they should move down to show you where they are, for example, if you wanted it on the screen longer. Okay, let's finish setting up your PC. That's fine with me. Skip that. Let's add a Microsoft account. Let's not. Hit back. Skip for now. Okay. Now let's right click and go to Device Manager and see what's going on. Oh, well, there you go. It took care of everything about that. Let me plug in my utilities flash drive and see that thing go flying out of my hands like that? Let's get CPU-Z on here and we'll take a look at our BIOS version. There's a lot of different other ways we can look at the BIOS version. I got my way. I use it universally regardless of the operating system. I know in the operating system or even in the Intel Update Assistant, there's a lot of different ways you can see your BIOS version. So what I love about this line of work I'm in is there are sometimes half a dozen different ways to accomplish the same task, none of which are wrong. So you do you, and I'll do me. Here we go. So CPU ID comes up, and under the motherboard, we should see we've got what version? 0210. Oh, that's old. That's from 2021. So I'm going to close that, and I'm going to go to our downloads folder where I previously downloaded our BIOS. I'll double click and extract this file. Just like that. I'm going to take that extracted file and I'm going to grab just a blank small flash drive formatted in FAT32 and just plug it in anywhere back here. Give that a minute to initialize. Oh, I got a bunch of BIOSes and stuff from the Earring board still on here. Well, that's okay. We're just going to copy this, which is this button right here. Windows 11 makes it so much harder than it needs to be. Right click, and this little clipboard is paste. Again, it's so stupid. And close all this out and restart. Restart. Here we go. Now, when it restarts, I'm going to be pressing the delete key over and over again here in just a moment. Here we go. Delete, delete. Delete, 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 delete. There, I got it. And we're going to go up to the very top, Advanced Monitor Boot Tool, Easy Flash Utility, right? You see that? Easy Flash, enter. And what's it looking at? It sees both flash drives. It sees my utilities flash drive here with all my PC testing software. See the super little one right here, FS2, 96 megs. Oh, that's not it either. This one right here, FS1, it's 2 gigs right here. And that's our BIOS, 0403. Please back up your BitLocker recovery key. Yeah, of course. Not using BitLocker. It's a pain in the butt. As you can see, what a pain in the butt it becomes. So if we're in a situation where we have to use BitLocker, we do. But if we don't have to, then we don't. Okay, 0403, PL63, yes. And we're off to the races as it's processing the update. And just for the sake of clarity, let me get my camera off the screen so you get a full vision of everything the way it looks. Patrick Russo says Uncle Kerry was going to make a quick tips video on how to use YouTube. I already did. I made that video a couple of years ago. And Bob R. posts a direct link to the Amazon keyboard. So the reason, Bob, that I encourage people to use my Amazon store is if they make the purchase using your link, I didn't make a commission, you didn't make a commission, and they're still paying the same amount of money. So the reason I direct people to my Amazon store is, number one, for convenience, so that people don't have to manually go and grab the links. Number two, if they do make the purchase for the same price using my link, I make a small commission that helps benefit the channel. So I would appreciate if you keep that in mind. Just because somebody asked doesn't mean they're going to buy it. So it's not a big deal, but it's just not something that benefits the channel to direct people away from something they gleaned from the channel and then not have it benefit the channel. So, but I appreciate you were thinking of the person who asked, but you weren't really thinking of me when you did it. Just so you know. Here, it might be a good idea to implement a live ticket across the bottom of your live videos. Yeah, ticker. I don't want to. Really don't want to. If I was a viewer and I kept seeing the same thing on the screen over and over and over, just never ending, it would drive me crazy and I would leave the video no matter how interested I was in the video. I would find that to be super annoying. Okay, so this has all been hands off. The reboot that's happening right now occurred on its own. I did not press any keys or click the mouse, and I'm just sitting here staring at it, and it will do everything on its own. We just need to watch it. Ryan wants to know, can people in Canada use your link in Amazon? No. The Amazon links that are provided in my video notes are for Amazon.com. Amazon does have a way for me to create, and I know it says no signal. You have to be patient. It's still processing. You know what? I'll put camera one back up. Well, no, I won't. It's going there. So the person that's gonna, let's say you're in another country and you want to buy this keyboard, then none of the links being provided to you, either in the chat room or from me directly, are a place you're going to make your purchase from, because those links all direct you to Amazon.com here in the USA. So therefore, in order for you to make your purchase in your country, then you have to manually go to your Amazon in your country and manually search for the product. So nobody providing a link in the chat or in my video description will benefit you in your country. Now, Amazon does have a way to have like a one link for all. I haven't had any time to look into that. Quite frankly, I just don't have enough viewers in other countries making purchases, except for maybe the UK. So that's why it hasn't been a big motivator for me to make an extra $2.75 in commissions to do all that work. That's why I haven't done it. Let me go full screen on my side. I can't see what this says. You guys can see it way better than me. Press enter to recover. Okay, so we'll press enter. F1 to run setup is what it says, F1. Okay. Once we've updated our BIOS now, which you can tell right up here says 0403, I want to just load the default settings just to clear everything out. So we will load optimize defaults and hit enter, and yes, and then save changes and reset. Okay, and then we're going to reboot. And why did we get back into the BIOS? That's weird. I'm going to turn the machine off. Did I put my camera back on? You put camera 1 back on. I'm going to shut the machine off. I'm going to press and release this power button. I love that power button. It's got some nice, it's got like a good depth to it, unlike these flush buttons I'm accustomed to. And I'm going to go ahead and remove the 2 flash drives, the BIOS flash drive and the utilities flash drive, because I don't know if it's trying to boot to one of those. Then I'm going to turn this back on. And see what happens. So normally, as a technician, if you were to bring me a computer that's doing this, it looks like it can't find a storage drive, like the SSD is dead. I know better than that, though. So I want to check the settings a little more carefully if the default settings perhaps were not the optimal settings for us. So let me turn camera 1 back off for a minute so we can look at this entire BIOS screen in full together. Nothing's being hidden. And perhaps you guys might even see something before I see it. But we want to look over at, let's see, NVMe configuration should still show our drive. It does, so the drive is there. So it's probably a boot issue. If we go over to the boot configuration, fast boot is enabled. I don't know if we want that enabled for right now, since we just did a BIOS update. Let's disable fast boot. We can turn that back on later. And I want to make sure that our boot order is, let's see. Oh, there's a BIOS image rollback. That's nice. We can also turn on XMP if we want to turn that on. This is 3200 speed RAM. I'm assuming we can turn this on. It's not going to be under CPU configuration. System agent? No. CH configuration. Storage. What does it say about storage? That looks fine. I don't know why SATA 6 is enabled when there's no cable for it. Seems like a waste of resources to assign to a port we're not using. There's our TPM right there, and it's discrete. That is a discrete TPM, meaning they're not using the built-in one to the CPU. They have an external TPM on the motherboard. Does this have Thunderbolt? This has Thunderbolt. Wow. Oh, even better. For the 4 people who need it. Onboard devices configuration, audio and connectivity, CEC control. That's interesting. If you want control from your television, like a Samsung TV. Okay, I don't need any of that. So probably going to be under. No, I saw it somewhere. I see it. Not security. English. Maybe under advanced somewhere. Well, that's not very helpful. Sometimes under CPU configuration, see RAM, but no, we don't have any RAM options in there. System agent. VMD, that is our, oh, come on, Carrie, I just reading about this. This is basically renamed. This is essentially a RAID controller. So we can't put multiple drives in. It's like a virtual, oh, anyway, it's basically your RAID configurations. It's my understanding. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I believe that is. But we can't use RAID on here. Because that would need more than 1 drive for that. Storage config. It's our RAM. I would think it would be right here. It says total memory and the memory frequency is 3200 MTS. So maybe we cannot turn XMP on. That's the case. It shows 3200 speed and the frequency is at 2400. Interesting. That is very interesting. I also, let's see under boot, fast boot's disabled. Okay. Option, boot sector, recovery, skip, but where's the boot order? Gives us 3 seconds to hit the delete key to enter the BIOS. We can boot up faster by turning that off, and good luck getting into your BIOS. Boot option priorities and boot override. So what do I have to do to get into the boot option priorities and boot override? I don't know. What is this? Auto recovery, force BIOS, current. I think that's all good. UEFI, all that looks fine to me. Save changes and reset. I have no idea. David Dick says sometimes ASUS sets secure boot mode to other OS for defaults. May have to change it back to UEFI. Yeah, because it's not even making an attempt. Let's see, it's in Windows UEFI, secure boot mode, standard. I don't know what that means. Save and exit. Or try disabling secure boot, NVMe says. That's not working. That doesn't need any difference at all. Fast boot has made no difference. Oh, that's fine. Secure boot. Standard or custom. See any reason to change the keys. SPD is the RAM. But again, it's just information. It's not giving us, so the serial presence device tells us all about the RAM. It doesn't seem to have an option to enable that XMP profile, but I don't care. Like, I don't notice a difference anyway, one way or the other. I turn it on because if I don't, you guys harass me over it. Maybe try setting the BIOS back to default instead of optimized. There's only optimized. There is no other default. I was looking to see if there was an easy mode to the BIOS, but I don't see that either. Because sometimes the XMP settings are in easy mode. And it'll, this is more like an advanced mode. So I'm not sure what's going on there. We can load the optimized again. That just changed those two settings back to where they were before we changed them. Is XMP required if the RAM is already running at 3200? The BIOS said the RAM is running at 2400 and has the ability to run at 3200. I don't think you were interpreting the information correctly on the screen. Now, let me just take a look here. Nope. Nothing there. Secure boot. How about a boot override? Can I do a boot override? Secure boot mode. Sure. Well, I've seen better BIOSes than this. Oh, we're going to get somewhere this time? Nope. All right, let's take a look again. Let me go back to Now, boot. Let's turn this back to Windows. Somewhere in here, let's do save changes and reset. And then it's like F10 or F12, I think. Boot options. Let's try F10. Anything? Looking for a boot menu. Nope. Let's escape. Quit without saving. Let's try oops. Escape. Quit without saving. Okay. Let's try. Save changes and exit. Just needed to give me another boot screen. Let's try. Say it's F8 for boot. F8. Let's try F8. Ah! Wait a minute. Please select boot device. No boot device is showing. Well, that's odd after a BIOS update. That's really, really weird. Carry 2400 is the CPU. The memory shows 3200. That's not the way I read it, but you guys could be right. I'm trying to handle too many things at once. This is something I have to deal with a live show, and what it does is it frustrates me, and I start getting short-tempered because you guys are asking questions about RAM speed, which is not important. I've moved on. We can come back and revisit that, but you might be watching the video from 5 minutes ago, so as far as you know, what you're watching is current. I'm trying to keep moving forward, and you guys keep pulling me backwards, and I'm trying to do my best to address everybody's questions, but all the viewers are in different places on a live video. It sucks for me. So I'm going to ignore all of this so I can focus on what I'm doing, and then we'll come back and look at that because it's all very overwhelming when you guys do this. So I know you're trying to help, and I appreciate your help, but your help is coming too late. I'm trying to just, I'm more worried about getting this thing to boot than I am about whether or not XMP is on or not. So that, to me, is where my priority is right now. So I think I'm going to try a reinstall of Windows 11. It's a clean install of Windows 11, so I'm not losing anything. So let me plug that in, and it should just automatically boot now to, oh, and I want to unplug the Ethernet cable. Let me go back over to this and see one more time if I can. I have to go full screen to see this screen, guys. I just want you to know how frustrating that is for me. And I'm trying to be positive, and I'm trying not to be short with people, but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's like a madhouse. All right. And again, I appreciate everybody's heart's in the right place. I just don't think you realize what stress it's causing. All right, we're going to do an install. Let's just hope it sees our NVMe drive, because if we killed the NVMe drive, that's not going to speak well for TEAMGROUP after I talked about how great they've been. Like, I don't have a product key. Windows 11 Pro is what I want. And then add that. Custom. So we didn't lose the drive. I don't understand why a BIOS update would make this drive unseeable. However, it's not a big deal to reinstall Windows 11. It's a fresh install anyway. And I'm going to go ahead and remove these items. And we'll just do a fresh install, which is really what I should have done to begin with. Remember I said about taking shortcuts and how it'll come back to bite you? In this case, it shouldn't have. Like, from my experience, this doesn't really have a precedent. But on the other hand, I'm not surprised. Maybe something in the BIOS is looking for a different way of the UEFI for the layout. I don't know, but I'm sure this is going to work. And if it doesn't work, one way or the other, we're all going to learn together from this experience. I assumed by getting a name brand computer that this would be easier than this, but there's also a little bit of a learning curve from what I'm expecting to what I'm getting. Like when ASUS said they didn't have any drivers for it, but in fact they did, so it was the way I expected it to be, but not how I expected it to be. So that's where the little mix-up is. And then I'm going to put myself back on screen, and I'll put myself in a corner here. Whoopsie. I'm on the wrong thing. Here. Go here. Okay, everything should be good. So you start moving the wrong camera input. Then I have to figure out which one was I just moving and then put it back to the where it was. It's a lot. I'm telling you, doing this live is very, very overwhelming. So maybe the BIOS upgrade messed up the TPM keys. Yeah, anything's possible. Yeah, absolutely possible. Chris Garrett said, I thought only people in the UK said whoopsie. Do people in the UK say whoopsie? Is there a driver missing? There's no driver needed to boot into Windows and UEFI mode. If it was a RAID controller, then perhaps. But even then, you typically, in a situation like that, you still get the operating system starting, and then it needs the driver to continue, and it errors when it says, you know, it won't just, because the driver has to load, you understand? So where's the driver loading from? And we're not even beginning to load. It's just going right to the BIOS as though there was no drive installed. So regardless, if it can't even see the drive or make an attempt to boot to the drive, then anything on the drive, including drivers, never even gets a chance to be looked at, let alone loaded. Chris Garrett says, happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody. Thanks to all the vets, police, fire, EMTs, etc. The chaos has started as school has ended yesterday in his area. Okay, well, seems to be loading fine. Just continue to look here in the chat. So in these breaks, when you see I'm waiting on something to load, that's your chance to go into your chat and you know, if you want to address something to me rather than when I'm in the middle of working on something. If you're watching the video at its current live moment, then there should only be about 3 seconds, maybe 4 seconds between when I talk and when you hear me. If you're any more than 4 seconds behind me, well, I'll give you an example. I'm going to say the word now. And when I say now, I want those of you in the chat room, when you hear that word, to say now back to me. Because I want to see how many of you in the chat are actually watching this live video at that 4 second delay. And then when you see other people saying the word now 5 minutes later, we know they're 5 minutes behind. Are you ready? Set, now. Bingo, there's Andy. There's a bunch of you replying back now. Thank you for that. That reassures me you are currently watching at the current live moment. It's going to make my life so much easier. Okay, so for everybody else who's going to hear that later on, hopefully, like, they don't know what's going on in the chat. They're like, why is everybody saying that? Because they're too far behind. But when they catch up to this point, maybe they'll realize and understand to either fast forward the video to the end or hit refresh on their browser, or that they're okay knowing they're behind and that when they type anything in the chat room, they're talking about stuff we did in the past. So thank you guys for participating in. Okay, let me finish up our Windows 11 install. Everything's looking good here. Like it's, you know, very normal. Not sure what happened there. Yes. And US. Skip a second keyboard layout. Don't have internet. Continue with limited setup. That way I don't have to create the online Microsoft account. Username of user. Keep the password blank so it goes right to the desktop. Turn off everything but location settings, and that's going to set our date and time for us automatically. Next. Oh, wait, I don't want. Just want the top one. Okay, so once the desktop comes up, I'm going to plug the internet back into it, and we'll go back to Windows Update. Again, this is not going to be an activated copy of Windows 11 anymore because we've changed the motherboard. And I will go to VIP CDK deals. I will buy a Windows 10 Pro product key for $15.90. I use PayPal to pay for it. And then within 2 minutes, I have the key. And I just enter that key while I'm connected to the internet on this little PC. And it activates and it'll stay tied to that motherboard indefinitely. I'll never have to use that key again. If I have to reinstall Windows 11, I do it the same way, say I don't have a product key, but only when I go to Windows Update, it'll recognize this motherboard serial number as being previously assigned a product key, and it'll reassign the product key back to this motherboard and will reactivate it. It's pretty cool. No Microsoft account is needed. Now, that's all good, and I can plug the internet in right there, unplug the Windows 11 media, and we're going to go to Windows Update. Now, out of curiosity, let us check for updates. I am curious where we're at on the device manager. Ooh, got a bunch of stuff missing. Let's find out how much of this gets installed. Because remember, we had it carried over from a previous build of a different motherboard. Some of those drivers may have been carried over. That could also cause problems, by the way. Sometimes they're problems you won't realize for days, weeks, or months, and you'll never know. You'll just say, oh, that darn Microsoft, I have to keep reinstalling their operating system because they suck. No, it's because you followed unwise practices that resulted in your own demise, that created the whole scenario that could have been avoided if you would have done it right the first time, as recommended and as according to proper procedure. But if you want to roll the dice and risk it, you could get away with it. It could work fine. But if it doesn't, it's your fault it doesn't, not Microsoft's. I just want to be clear. I'm all about pointing blame at Microsoft, but not for things you did. That's all I'm trying to say. I point blame at Microsoft for what Microsoft does. All right. Shamim joins us in the chat, says hello. Welcome in, welcome in. Trevor says if we leave the device manager open, we can see them loading in. That's an interesting idea. Let's do that. Let's see. Where can I move this? I'll move it over here, I guess. And is my camera going to be covering up part of that? Ah, it'll be fine. It's fine. I think I need a cold Gatorade, though. Patrick says, I thought this was a fresh install. No, Patrick. I said it wasn't. At the very beginning of the video, I said, I'm going to put the you know what? Just rewind the video. It's the same NVMe drive I've used on the last 3 builds. I'm simply carrying over the install of Windows 11 on the first of the last 3 builds. And I used it again on the second of the 3 builds. And I've used it again on the third of the 3 builds. It's the same install. I'm just booting from it. This is the very first time I've wiped this drive and reinstalled during this entire video. I haven't done this. It's the very first time. Did you see me do it earlier? Where was I? Where was I when that was happening? I'm confused. How are you seeing something I didn't do? Okay, it was a clean install on a different motherboard. Different motherboard has a different chipset. Therefore, it loaded different drivers. And I put it in here to see if it'd boot, and it did boot. But it carries over all the drivers from the previous motherboard and the motherboard before that one. Every time I switch the board, unless it's the same make and model, it's going to have different drivers. Sometimes you can get lucky and it works. But sometimes you think it works, but then you end up having some errors because those leftover drivers from the previous board, among other things like registry settings, could run into an error under certain circumstances, which you may or may not encounter. Okay, so it looks like it's filling up the device manager for us there. That was a good idea. I appreciate that. And we're looking at still downloading and installing, so I'm going to just wait and let it. Even though it tells us when we can restart, I'd rather wait until I see all the downloading and installing finish first. I choose when to restart, not Windows. So I don't want to have to restart downloads, because then it just ends up taking longer. So I will wait until it's done, and then I'll restart it. Andy W36 says, seeing the device manager update in real time was really satisfying. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Taco says, I'm worried why Carrie seems to have some contempt for OneDrive. I use it to back up photos. I find it okay. I don't know why you care. Like, it's like you're saying, it worries me Carrie prefers McDonald's over Burger King. What difference does it make in your life? I use Google Drive. I don't want to have two different cloud services. Google Drive was there first. I've been using it for years, and it's inconvenient for me to have to relearn. I don't want to create a Microsoft account. I have my reasons that are very valid. I don't know why you care. That's weird, man. That's just weird. You do you. You like OneDrive? Use it. I'm not telling you not to. Taco says, I thought it was bad. I never said it was bad. Where'd you get that idea? Just because I don't use it, you automatically went to this negative place? He must hate it. It must be terrible. It's nothing to do with that. No. Anyway, so I'm still concerned. People just make stuff up and then they go with it like I've said something or I've done something that would suggest, I don't know. Shamim Kajveres became a supporter. Thank you, Shamim. Thank you for joining the Tech Club. Keith Lander says, great session today. Thank you, Keith. Thank you for being a supporter and for being here and joining us. I appreciate you. Shamim says, thank you, Carrie. I'm glad to join this great community. Well, we are glad to have you. Thank you for being a part of it. I've made a massive investment on some parts here for the YouTube channel for upcoming content, and I'm a little scared. I was on the fence because essentially the channel's not bringing enough money compared to how much it's costing me to make the content. And I don't want to harp on this because I know I always do, but I want you to know that I have put several $1,000s on a credit card as a business move in the hopes that you got to spend money to make money so that I can have content that I want to make. And I'm hoping that either through sponsorships or increased viewership or more members or more super chats, that this will more than pay for itself. But if it doesn't, then I'm paying interest on it on top of that. So I'm going to take a little bit of a risk here. And to that end, I have a couple of new builds coming up, new PC builds. Is that update done? No, we're still doing something. And while we're waiting, I'll show you something. Let me show you something. Have it put away. I have a staging area for items that are going to be shown on camera. And among a couple of motherboards and processors and RAM and storage devices that cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars, there are no customers that need computers, so I'm doing it for the channel. On top of that, I have, let me show you where the money's going. Now, I could just be a talking head and not do any work at all, and it wouldn't cost me any money to make the videos, but I think then the viewership will drop. And it's a way to make the business smaller and smaller until it vanishes. So I'm trying to go the other way around. And anyway, this is a little NAS called the ASUS Store, and it's an NVMe NAS. It's got 6 NVMe slots. and in it will go 6 4-terabyte NVMe drives. I'm using the TEAMGROUP, the same one I'm using in here. So even though these are Gen 3 drives, Gen 3 by 4, the Team 4-terabyte drives I'm going to use, I got 6 of them at $200 a piece. And then I bought the NAS, it's $450. So that video, just to make this one video, one day out of the month, sets me back $1,600, $1,700 after sales tax. And I don't have any use for the NAS. Like, I don't need it. I'll put it through some paces for testing off camera, but long term, I don't know what's going to happen with it. This is only a quad-core processor in here. It can't run 6 NVMe drives at times 4. It can't do that. So each NVMe slot is going to be times 1, meaning the data transfer rate, instead of being 3,600 on each NVMe, will be 1,000. But because there's 6 of them together, that's 6,000. You understand what I'm saying? And it's going through the network anyway, which is going to be, in my case, gigabit or even less on my laptops that are Wi-Fi. So you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter. But they do have a higher end model that has 10 gigabit, but I don't have a 10 gigabit network. I don't have any 10 gigabit PCs. I would have no use for it. And has 12 NVMe slots. And that's still, it's a pretty good price. It's under 1,000. I think it's $850. So then when I do this, the next question becomes, well, how does that compare with just setting up a RAID on a motherboard? And I want to revisit that using the same 4-terabyte TEAMGROUP Gen 3 drives. And when you're setting up a RAID on a motherboard, you need to have a pretty robust CPU that can handle that. So I have to experiment around until I find something that'll work. And you don't want to go more than 3 NVMe drives. The minute you go to 4 or 5, your performance goes down in the toilet, your latencies goes sky high. So maybe just 2 drives in a RAID 0 or 3 drives in a RAID 0. Any more than that, you start moving backwards on NVMe. And then I thought, okay, so that's a software-based RAID where you're going into the BIOS and you're doing it that way. But how would that compare to a hardware-based RAID? So this is a HighPoint SSD 7505 internal hardware RAID card. Now this card allows us to plug in, I don't know, 4? That's the card. This card is $850. And I believe we can plug in 4 NVMe drives as a RAID 0. We don't want to boot to a RAID array. That is a big, big mistake. We want to use the RAID array as a place to store, like in my case, my video files or my video edits where I can load them and save them very quickly. They're large files. The faster I can move them on the local machine, the faster I can get work done in theory. But then once I copy it to the NAS, once I take the master output of the file, once the render is done, then I'm copying it over a gigabit LAN anyway. So, you know, who cares? I don't need 2.5 gig for that. I don't need 10 gig for that. It's going to take a few seconds longer, and I'm not staring at it. I'm busy opening up the next thing and doing the next thing. So by having this internally, is this worth it to get to that level of performance, or is there any performance improvement? I don't know. So there's another 800. You can start adding all this up in your, all right? And we already went through what this cost today. All of this has been purchased with your generosity through Super Chat, your membership contributions. This is where it's going. And even that, I'm still coming up way short. So I'm putting it on the credit card, especially when things are on sale. So that 4-terabyte Western Digital SN850X on sale today at $350. I ordered one because I don't have any spares. Those TEAMGROUP 4-terabyte drives that I bought 6 of at $199 that are $189. I'm going to use all 6 of those in this, which means I'm going to have none left for anything else. So I ordered 3 more. That's back on the credit card. There's about 9% sales tax. So on all this thousands of dollars, add 9% on top of that for the total cost. But I'm hoping it's an investment that will pay back through better larger number of views, if nothing else. If not, it's stuff I'm interested in, but I don't have any use for. You understand? Like, I'm editing videos when I need to just fine without this high point controller, but I'm curious. I want to know. So the price was right, and I want to make content I'm just not seeing online here on YouTube. I want to make real, unique content, or I want it, if somebody else has already done it, then they've done it in a way that leaves a lot of questions that I haven't had answered. So I want to do it my way. So anyway, that's the logic behind that. As I mentioned, I've got a couple of builds. Even though nobody has ordered a computer, I've decided to do 3 more computer builds. Those average about $1,000 a piece. So there's another $3,000. So what are we at, $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000 now? On top of that, we still have to finish the robot's foot build that has a $1,900 graphics card all by itself, but that's not a channel thing. That camera girl's paying for all that. That's good. That's going to be her personal rig. Then there's the whole earring stuff I purchased for the sake of learning, plus the Gen 5 drive that I bought, which led to me having to buy a new motherboard and a new processor. That turned out to really be a wonderful experience, because even though I kind of haphazardly threw it together just so I could test the Gen 5 drive, I found an amazingly good value in the 13500 processor. The Core i5 13500 is on sale for $209. It includes a fan and a heatsink, and it never overcooks on Prime 95. It totally stays cool the whole time. It's quiet. And forget the whole Gen 5 thing. Just buy a board that you can put DDR5 in with a Core i5 13500, and you've got one of the fastest computers you've ever used. And I don't care if you're used to using i7s and i9s. This 13500 that slapped together for the sole purpose of testing a Gen 5 drive, guess what? It's the fastest video rendering machine I have, because Cyberlink Power Director and most video editors slam on your CPU, 100% CPU usage. So I did my own experiment by forcing Cyberlink Power Director to use an NVIDIA graphics card, and it made no improvement in my rendering time, 0. When you go to the process, you hit Control-Alt-Delete and look at the task manager and look at your processes, your resources, it slams the CPU at 100% to the whole video encoding, regardless of how I encode it. So if I choose to encode a video that's 1080 and I want to upscale it to 4K, and that video is 3 hours long, that takes 3.5 hours or so on the laptop, the 8th gen laptop. It takes about 1.5 hours to do on the i9 9900KS with the 3070. It took 55 minutes to do the same exact render of the same video with the same settings on a 13500. That's an i5 with DDR5. And here's the thing, when you look at the processes, the RAM and the storage are barely being used. They're just kind of going up and down, up and down, up and down. No big deal. But the CPU is slammed at 100 for the entire 55 minutes. The entire rendering time, 100% CPU usage. So at least as far as Cyberlink Power Director goes, just getting to that 13th gen processor made a massive rendering time difference. Now, every video editor you use, whether it's DaVinci Resolve or Adobe Premiere, what have you, they're all going to slam your CPU 100%, regardless of your graphics card. Unless under certain circumstances you have a specialty graphics card and you're doing a specialty encoding that graphics card is really good at. In general, for most of us at home doing video rendering, it's really mostly on the CPU. Oystein has now been a member for 4 months. Right on. Thank you, Oystein. All right, I think it's waiting for me to reboot. Oh, it went to sleep. Let me wiggle the mouse and wake it up. There it is. Let's restart it. Okay, so while that restarts, let's see, back over to camera 1. And let me just see here. Trevor says, don't use a software RAID. It's more trouble than it's worth. Always have a bad experience with it. But if you go back a couple of years on the original Threadripper build, we went through this together. But it's been a few years, 4 or 5 years, 6 years. I think it's time to revisit it. I need to revisit it for my own experience. And we're going to see the pros and cons, including the costs. Software RAID is free. It's built into your BIOS. Whether or not your chipset can handle it, it depends on the hardware you've got. But then the RAID card is $800. Is it worth $800? So these are things I just want to answer. I want to know. So we're going to do it. And we're going to figure out whether or not we should. That's how we're going to know. Am I going to make any deals with Acronis this summer? Oystein wants to know. Normally, in the past, when we run campaigns for Acronis, we typically do that in the fall, like the back to school time, September, October. I haven't talked to Acronis in a while. So I don't know. I don't know. I hope so. I hope we'll be running another special. But at this point right now, I haven't talked to them in a couple of months. Joel McJoy says, I'm surprised you didn't turn off hibernation, but well, I just reinstalled the operating system. I just did my first update. Give me a minute, would you? I mean, there's a bunch of settings I change. I turn off indexing, I turn off notifications, I'll turn off hibernation. I get rid of the little search highlights. I get rid of the news items. I change the items of the system tray, but we're just on our first updates. I changed the power settings. Yeah. Okay, let's see if we've rebooted here. Sure it has. It says no signal. Why does it say no signal? I am looking at a no signal on this machine. Let's see. Camera 1 back up. Put myself in a corner here. I don't know what it's doing because we just restarted after BIOS updates. This is a pretty fast computer. So I'm going to turn it off, I guess. Part of me says I should be patient and let it do whatever it's doing. And there's this other part of me that's like, whatever it's doing shouldn't be taking this long. So I'm going to shut it off. Okay, it won't shut off. I'm going to hold the power button in for up to 10 seconds. Oh, there it goes. Just now shut off. Okay. Now, let it shake itself off and start again. Here we go. Carrie, have you used Microsoft's PC Manager app? I reviewed that here on the channel. Is that a year ago now? We've already made that video. Yes. And I recommend it, by the way. I use it. All right, now it's doing the updates the way it's supposed to. Bruce Lucas says CPU encode is usually higher quality. I played around with, faster versus higher quality, and it didn't seem to make a difference with regards to the resource consumption. My preference, of course, is quality anyway. I don't mind if I'm going to have a video posted for eternity and it takes a while longer to encode it in quality, I think it's the right thing to do is let's spend a few minutes now, be done with it, post it right, and then it stays up for, you know, I mean, I've got videos up over a decade. So do I wish they were better quality? Of course. But a decade ago, I was in standard definition and I was using an in-camera microphone, and I cannot go back in time and reshoot those videos. So now if I have the opportunity to make the video higher quality, I know I'm going to appreciate that 10 years from now. And yes, it likely will take longer to do the encoding, and the file size will be larger and will take longer to upload, and YouTube will take longer to process it. And once all that is done, it's forever done. Move on to the next one. So that's my logic behind why I choose the settings I do. Oystein says, thanks for the answer. I used your Amazon link to do some SSD shopping. I hope you're getting something in return. Likely, Oystein, I'm not probably getting anything in return, since you are not likely ordering from Amazon.com. You're probably ordering from an Amazon in Norway or other nearby country in Europe, I would guess. And my link doesn't provide any commissions to me other than just purchases made at Amazon.com, but I appreciate the thought. I do. Now, let me take a look here at Windows Update again, see if we have any more. Okay, I'm going to go through these again. Sometimes it fails updates because it was already updating these same updates in the background, and then it tries to update the update it's updating with the same exact update at the same time, and then they fail because it can't do it twice simultaneously, or it's not going to grab the same update that it's installing and also at the same time download the same update to be installed. It'll error out for obvious reasons. It's a duplication, and those fail. But that failure does not mean that something went wrong. No reason to panic. So now that we've put those updates in, we'll check and refresh and look for any current updates still awaiting install. There we go. And Oystein contributes 150 Norwegian kroner. Very generous, Oystein. Thank you so much for your continued support and your generosity. Mitchell Morrison says, hello from Las Vegas. First stop on my motorcycle trip. He's going to head to San Francisco. Then he's going to Portland, Seattle, and on to Vancouver. That's fantastic. Enjoy your road trip on your motorcycle. And be safe. And check in with us. Let us know how things are going, please. Oystein says he is buying from Amazon.com. Yeah, well, if you're buying from Amazon.com, I would be getting commission. Yeah, I'm surprised to hear that you would, because that means anything you order probably takes, what, 2-3 weeks for you to get it? George Ferrugia says he's received his Minis Forum NAD 9 installed drive and RAM, installed Windows. How are you liking it? I ordered a NAD 9 last month, and it's still going to be 3 or 4 weeks, apparently, before I get it. I'm not in a hurry for it, but remember I talked about all that money I was spending? Well, there's another one. And again, I'm doing it, did that one for a couple reasons. One, I'm genuinely interested in it as a desktop replacement. Two, Minis Forum's been very generous with us in giving us review units, so I want to give them a little business. And three, the content. It's always about the content. So when that arrives, it'll be bare bones just like this. I'll have to put RAM and storage in an operating system, which means more money. And then when it's done, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's a very powerful machine. And it has the ability to, I mean, I could use it for streaming if I could put it, if I could put a 4-port capture card in it, wouldn't that be great? But as a proper desktop replacement, I foresee being able to use something like that as a trial for my clients that have offices. If they want to try to see if a mini PC will work for them, I want to put in a proper mini PC that's going to be making it feel like their desktops are old and outdated. They're going to say, well, this little computer is going to replace my big desktop. That's why I don't want to give them a Celeron. I got to give them something that's more powerful than their desktop and say, yeah, try it out. And if they don't like it, it's not like I can wonder, well, I wonder if the CPU wasn't enough. You know what I mean? Like, if they don't like that, then we just need to keep the desktops for them. I got a feeling they're going to get blown away and they're going to say, get us some more of these instead of the desktops, because they're smaller. I think they're quieter, and I think they're cheaper, quite honestly. So we're just creeping over 2 hours on this video. And I like to keep these live videos at around 2 hours. I always tell you guys, if you have questions for me, if we're engaging in a conversation, I'll stick around. But at the same time, I am planning to be live again tomorrow at 1 o'clock, as I am every Friday. And I'm going to start prepping a motherboard for a build, I think. Amazon has still not delivered the board to me, and I'm getting a little nervous now. There's been some delay. Amazon doesn't tell me why. And I just bought another board. So that's 2 boards now for this build on Friday. To replace the one, I'm going to send one of them back, right? Whichever one shows up first is the one I'm going to use. So if the board I ordered 3 days ago doesn't show up by the end of business today, I'm going to cancel. Just say refund my money on it. Because the other one I ordered last night is scheduled to be here tomorrow. However, they don't say by when. If it's not here by noon my time tomorrow, I might have to switch up my plans for what I was going to do tomorrow. It's really threw a wrench in the works because I bought a returned board. It was like $30 savings. And I was on the fence. You know, should I buy a board I've never used before, returned, to save $30? And then I thought, well, it's not going to a customer. I don't have to support it. Why should I spend $30 more if I don't have to? And if the board is bad or the pins are bent or anything, I just send it back. It's easy. But what I wasn't thinking of is sometimes when it comes to this used stuff, this is the 3rd or 4th time that Amazon's pulled this on me. It's almost like somebody's clicked the button to return something and they've already relisted it for resale before they have it. And then that person hasn't sent it back to Amazon yet. They have a window of time to do that. But I think it's not even in Amazon's possession. If that person never sends it and they change their mind, they're going to keep it, then Amazon refunds my money anyway. And I'm just sitting here waiting for the clock to run out. So Amazon told me yesterday if I didn't get it by the end of the day, I can request a refund today. And I thought, well, that's going to shoot myself in the foot if I cancel it when they're trying to deliver it today. So I ordered a brand new one with Amazon Prime delivery, and it's going to be here tomorrow. And there's still a chance that board, the used board that I ordered, will be here today. But I'm not holding my breath. I don't think it's going to show up. So, you know, thank goodness for the credit card. And I'm really regretting that decision now. I should have just paid the extra $30, bought the brand new one. It already would be here, and I would already be able to tell you what was going on tomorrow. But if you're wondering, you know, how stressful this can get and how overwhelming and why, I'm giving you a bunch of examples today of what's going on. And this doesn't talk about what's going on with my business. This doesn't talk about what's going on in my home life. This is just the YouTube channel that we're talking about financials and stresses and why they exist. And not for you to fix it, but for you to hopefully maybe understand why some things are happening, why they're happening, or why I'm reacting to certain things the way I'm reacting. Because there's a bunch of stresses on me you don't see and you wouldn't know. So I just want to share with you behind the scenes what's going on to make these videos possible for you, in the hopes that you know, you'll understand that there's a lot going on and it's stressful and I don't have really any help. So Camera Girl does help out like with thumbnails and well, she's doing a great job with the thumbnails, like today's thumbnail. And she's helping with reaching out with sponsors. And I'm having her help with email requests because unless somebody's a customer or a supporter, those other email requests, I'm just going to have go to her and she can choose if there's something she can answer. And that's taking a huge load off of my shoulders, but there's still a lot still on my shoulders. But it's called a job. It's not called playtime. So it does have stress, and I enjoy what I do despite the frustrations I encounter. And it's lined up a bunch of content for me now for the next 3 weeks at least. I started writing down on a sheet of paper all the videos that are in process. Looks like I've almost filled up the entire sheet. I think there's 3 blank lines. So hopefully no new hardware comes out for a while. You know, it just so happened, I also bought the TP-Link Wi-Fi 7 router. I pre-ordered it. That'll be here June 2nd. That was $700, $650. Stupid. But anyway, there's a lot of content. It's costing a lot of money. Things don't arrive on time or something happens. Some new product comes out. I want to try this mini PC. I want to try the new Wi-Fi 7. I want to try that NAS NVMe. Those 4 terabyte NVMe's at $189. I mean, you got to take advantage of that because the price is going to go back up. I'll pay for it later. I'll figure out how. Andy wants to know, do I think this is the last check on updates? Well, I think I'm going to stop checking it. It's probably, if it's not the last, then anything remaining is small, maybe a framework update or something. But I do want to run the Crystal disk mark on it, just on this Team 4 terabyte drive, just in case you're curious about it. It is Gen 3, not Gen 4, but that also means you don't need a heatsink on it because it's not going to get the heat that a Gen 4 or even a Gen 5 is going to make, right? The bigger and faster it is, the more power it's going to use, the more heat it's going to create, unless it's a brand new type of technology. If it's got the word generation 2, 3, 4, any number after the word generation other than 1, then all it is a polishing and a cranking the voltage up, essentially, cranking up the power from Gen 1 to Gen 2, or from Gen 2 to Gen 3, Gen 3 to Gen 4. So as these processors move from generation to generation, as our NVMe drives move from generation to generation, we're cranking up the power, we're cranking up the heat, we're cranking up the performance. When you see some new technology that's generation 1, then we're starting over again and may not have heat issues. We might have, you know, the teething problems of a new technology for the first year, though, on the other hand. And around the wheel continues to go, right? This is just the same old thing over and over again. So just, there are sometimes exceptions, but overall, that's what you should expect. Follow-up generations, faster and hotter. New generations likely won't run as hot as their evolutions in the future. So if they're running hot now at generation 1, they're probably going to run hotter at generation 2. And then, of course, if it's generation 1 product, then there could be some other issues with compatibility or troubles that get discovered with a new product. Back and forth, back and forth. There's no real safe answer there. Oh, what did I do? I copied the wrong thing over. I want Crystal disk mark because I'm talking about one thing, I'm doing something else entirely. I'm not that good at multitasking. Not as good as I think I am. Okay, here we go. And we'll run the full benchmark on it and see what it looks like here. I expect about 3,500 on the reads and writes, somewhere in there. the reads are typically, oh, look at, I almost called it right on the nose. The writes typically will be a bit slower, but shouldn't be much slower. Still, hopefully at 3,000, even 2,900, I'd be happy with that. That's a hell of a price for a 4 terabyte NVMe. I don't know what else to say. It's just crazy. Andy wants to know if I have any repair videos planned. Nothing is waiting for repair. So no, I don't. But sometimes repairs come in at a moment's notice. The phone rings. Phone can ring at any minute. Somebody's got a repair. And if they'll allow me to film it, then we'll have a repair video. That's something that happens reactionary. I don't often plan repair videos. Repairs are often unplanned and a high priority. And if I'm allowed to make a video out of it, then I will postpone whatever video I was planning, and the repair video will take precedent. Sue Cool wants to know, what is the model number of the black keyboard and mouse you use? So as I talked about earlier, everything you see me use on camera is in my Amazon store. So let me show you how that works. Well, we're running this anyway. We have some time here. I'm going to go back over to Amazon, and we'll share the screen capture here. I guess I can get rid of camera 1 so we can look at the whole thing. We'll just go up here and we'll type in Amazon.com. This is if you don't want to click on the link. /shop/Carrie Holzman. Okay, that's the link you would go to. That's the link that's in the video description of every video I've ever made. And you'll see as we scroll down, I got to use the right mouse for this. Scroll down here. I have a section here called Deals Now. This is everything that's on sale at Amazon, or it was on sale recently and I haven't removed it yet. This is the one you want. This is called Equipment and Tools That I Use. Now, these are listings for different, what are called stores. This is a store, the Deals Now store. This is the Equipment and Tools That I Use store. This is the Production Equipment Wanted, which I already have this now. I can remove that RAID card. These are video reviews that are on Amazon. So if I click here on Equipment and Tools That I Use, you'll see all the cables and portable monitors. You'll see even the surge protector. That's a crappy surge protector. It already broke. I'm going to take that off my list. I've stopped trying to get these working, and I will revisit that later when I have more time. That's the camera arm that you see me using. And what else do we have here? Show more on the list. There's the air duster I use, the drive dock that I use, the power button I use, the clock I use, the plastic razor scrapers I use, the copper keyboard and copper mouse. There's the router I'm using. There's the mesh system I'm using. There's the camera equipment that I'm using, from tripod heads to bowl adapters to the camera itself, including the razor blades I'm using to cut the boxes, the capture cards I'm using. And there's the HDMI couplers I use, the cameras, that's the close-up camera I'm using. These are adapters to go SATA to USB that I show on camera. These are the tripods I was using, but right now I'm not using those tripods anymore. I use a lot of scythe coolers. I use these lights. I use these flashlights and these flashlights and these flashlights. These are all the iFixit toolkits you'll see me use. Another power button that I'll use. Some of the long extensions of the Phillips #2 drivers. The VAM pliers, it's a great set of needle nose pliers. This was what we were using on the handheld camera, but we're not using that anymore. I use a lot of these Wi-Fi cards on builds. This is a little SIM card removal tool. You'll see me use this for like any recessed buttons that you would normally straighten a paper clip out. This is just easier. And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And as we go through this list, everything from scissors and battery chargers to the C-stands to the plastic standoffs, the battery chargers in the monitor stand, And because the keyboard is one of the earliest things that was first added to the list, the wire cutters I use, Stream Deck, which I have stopped using, and I don't use this anymore either, but stuff is still around. It just, as the requirements for the channels changing and the direction of the channel changes, then the equipment I use changes. And sometimes we go back and use it again. So in here should be the keyboard and mouse. There they are, right there. There's the keyboard and mouse. Bada boom, bada bing. They have a built-in battery in both the keyboard and mouse. Plug them into a USB cable to charge them up. Battery is not replaceable. Battery lasts me about 3 to 4 months between charges. They share one dongle. It's very cheap, very thin, lightweight, very portable. And there you go. All right, let me go back now to our results. So our results are 2770 on the right. So again, the writes are always typically going to be a bit slower than the reads, unless you're spending high dollar on a high performance NVMe drive, which you can. You know, if we go back one more time, go over to my window capture again. And this time, my favorite NVMe drive, the one I use myself, is the SN850X 4 terabyte from Western Digital. And it's on sale at $329. What I say, $349? It's $329. And its read and write speeds are much closer together. Scroll down here, it should tell us what they are. 7,300 on the reads. That's our writes. Sure, somebody's got a screenshot of it down here in the reviews. Performance, they're still just showing read performance. Writes up to 6,350. All right, well, it's not as good, but you can see from other drives that are cheaper, the write speeds go down. Anyway, the more money you spend, the more likely you are to have those numbers be the same. So I think one of the biggest ripoffs on the market right now in that regard is the Seagate Barracuda 530 4 terabyte. Are you sitting down? $470. I want you to think about this. The Team brand 4 terabyte drive, $189.99, Gen 3. The Seagate, and by the way, the price on the Seagate very rarely ever moves. The Seagate, same 4 terabytes, but instead of Gen 3, it's Gen 4. Same up to 7,300, just like the Western Digital at $329. $470. Now that has a 5,100 terabytes written lifespan, which is really, really good. What's the write speed on this? And it is backwards compatible to Gen 3, but I don't know why you'd do that to yourself. Let's see, did somebody take a picture? Port it up here, maybe? If they promote this to be used in a PlayStation or an Xbox, they raise the price because it's for gamers, you know. That's where the money is. Go get the gamer money. They'll pay more for the same stuff the rest of us wouldn't pay that much for. And, you know, if you were running the company, wouldn't you do the same? I'm not saying it's right, but I understand it. That says it's with a heatsink. What about without the heatsink? That should make it cheaper. Oh, it doesn't make it much cheaper. Oh boy. Anyway, all right. Where's our write speed? Anywhere? Anyone? Bueller? Let's see, write speeds. 7,300. It's going to be read. That's for accelerated gaming, if you believe that. Yeah, I don't know why anybody would. You could buy two. Think about this. You could buy two of these and still have money to have a really nice dinner left over for two at a nice restaurant, a decent restaurant, and have twice the capacity. Same 5-year warranty. Why would anybody do this? Anyway, I was hoping to see some Crystal Bismarck results. See, they're putting it in, looks like they're putting it in a PlayStation or an Xbox, maybe. That's who they're marketing it to. I'm surprised I don't see Crystal Bismarck results. Anyway, I think that's a ripoff. I just think it's a ridiculous price. So, Wintermute says 6,900 megabytes per second is reported by the Seagate website. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Okay, so not that much faster. Not that much faster than the Western Digital on the writes. And again, it's all going to be adding up to milliseconds, just milliseconds in real life load times. So it's your money. Spend it how you want to, but I want to buy more of these TEAMGROUP Gen 3s myself. That's a heck of a deal. 4 terabytes, $189. You got to be kidding me. And, you know, the Seagate Samsung 970 EVO at, what is it, 114 for 2 terabytes? That's a good, solid Samsung drive. Very reliable. You get the Samsung Magician software. You know, granted, for $60 more, you can double your capacity with the TEAMGROUP. They're both Gen 3, but to each his own. Choose accordingly. Set your expectations to be reasonable, and you should be a happy purchaser with no buyer's remorse, having realistic expectations. Now, when it comes to this unit itself, we haven't really done a lot with it to evaluate it in the sense of, yeah, we could run thermals on it and we can run, you know, try and run games on it. It's not a gaming machine. This is a machine that's really intended with that all metal case to be used like in an office or to be used in a garage or to be used somewhere that you need something small and out of the way. It would make a nice media PC, HD PC, a bit overpowered for that if I don't say so myself, but it will do the job if you want something that, I don't know, you might want to do other things with in the future. It'll have power in reserve, right? Waiting on you. And then as far as like, let's go back to that screen over here. As far as like the system itself, if we right click and we'll go to system, we'll just pull some information here. That's our 64 gigs of RAM. The reason that some of it's not available is because the video card is using that. And it's our 11th gen Core i5 1135 G7. So it's going to idle at 2.4. It'll crank up to whatever I said it's going to crank up to. I've already forgotten. I'm going to go over to the device manager real quick. Device manager. And what do we want to look at? Network adapters. There's our Bluetooth. There's our Internet Ethernet adapter and our Internet wireless Wi-Fi 6 adapter. Your security, you should see our TPM under here. Yeah. There's Thunderbolt. Let's not forget it has Thunderbolt. Sorry, that's under software. I want security. There's our TPM module there, and it is a discrete TPM module. As for the processor, cores, threads, I talked about that at the very beginning of the video, which I can't remember, but we can go back over to the Amazon page, right over here. Should be this one. And this reminds us that this CPU is a quad core. And the other thing, oh, and it's 2.5 gig LAN, just as a reminder. Let me go back one more time and we'll pull up Control-Alt-Delete, the task manager. We'll click on I got to make it full screen so I can read it. Yeah, click on performance. And that's going to show you all the information about the CPU. Now, this is very handy if you're kind of curious how your machine compares and you're not quite sure how to tell. If you go into the performance settings, and this is true on Windows 10 as well, you're going to learn about your CPU, your RAM. And if you look down here, you'll see it's telling us how much RAM is in use and how much is available. And the speed of it does show the RAM is running at 3200. So going back to that earlier conversation, that you guys are correct. It was running and it is running at 3200 speed. This is where we can verify that. Under the CPU, we can see how many cores and how many threads we have. And not this, that's a different type of thread we're talking about. We have what they're calling 8 logical procedures or 8 threads. And then the other thing you can do is click where it says, where did it go? Resource Monitor. And under Resource Monitor, we can see each of the cores on the CPU by clicking on the CPU tab here. And we see CPU 0, CPU 1, CPU 2, CPU 3, CPU 4, CPU 5, CPU 6, and CPU 7, because it started at 0. So 0 is 1, 1 is 2, 2 is 3, 7 is 8, okay? But if you start at 0, you're going to end up counting 0 as 1. So that means you're going to be one number ahead. So in other words, we have 4 cores and 8 threads is what I'm trying to say. And that's how you can verify it without having to look up any documentation. Also, if you're curious, what kind of a user am I? Am I the kind of user that uses a lot of RAM? Am I the kind of user that does a lot of disk I/O? Am I the kind of user that does a lot of input-output through the network? Am I the kind of user that's hammering on my GPU? Based on whatever application or however you use your computer, you run this at the same time. And then you can tell what's going to benefit you based on how you use your machine. Are you the kind of person that's running, let's say me, CyberLink Power Director? In that case, almost the amount of memory and disk and speed and Ethernet and GPU plays no role in rendering time as much as the best processor can. Changing that CPU is going to massively improve your processing time on CyberLink Power Director. Depending if you're using a different video editing suite, when that program is running, pay attention to what's happening here. Is anything being pegged out at 100%? If so, that's the thing you're going to want to upgrade if you're trying to improve the performance of what the task is you're asking the computer to do. The computer could do multiple millions of different tasks depending on what the user asks of it, and multiple variations, multiple millions or billions of variations of combined tasks. So there's no one size fits all for which CPU is best, how much RAM is best, what kind of RAM is best, which solid state drive is best. Was there going to be a benefit to Gen 4 for you that it wouldn't be for everybody else? Nobody can answer that like you can by just simply monitoring when your computer is being used, what is it you're using mostly? And if you focus on any future upgrade based on that information, you'll be spending your money far wiser and you'll be far happier with the end results. So that's why there's just no way to say which is best. There's only what's best for you. All right, guys, I think that'll wrap it up for me for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for the contributions, the support. And Garfield Rupe ran under the wire there with a $2 super chat. Thank you. And Andy Kane says 2 p.m. 2.0. Yes. Why would that be a problem? Isn't that the current thing? What am I missing? Whoopsie. I held my finger on the screen too long and now I've lost it. There it goes. Okay. Ian Bruce says, I bought two Windows 10 Pro keys, used one a few years ago. Would I still be able to use the other key? I don't know. Why don't you try it and let me know? You only have 30 days to return it. So I advise you guys, like any other purchase, if you bought a TV at Best Buy 2 years ago or a year ago, but you've left it in the box and you want to know, is that TV going to work? I don't know, but if it doesn't work, Best Buy's not taking it back. It's been more than 30 days. I don't understand why you simply wouldn't try it. I don't know why you're asking me that. Try it. What are you worried about? Think the police are going to come over there and arrest you? It's going to work or it's not going to work. The good news is if you have to buy a new one, they're only $15.90. Patrick Rousseau says, if you try it. Thank you, Patrick. That's, yeah. Yeah, we're all caught up. So again, interesting video. I will revisit this at a later date where we might, I don't know, do something with it to sort of measure its value. However, just look at the specifications, right? Look at the CPU you're getting, the Wi-Fi that you're getting it from a company based here, or not based here, but it has operations here. They have a headquarters in North America. So you are going to get support much, much better than you're going to get from a company that has no US headquarters and they're based in Asia. As a result, you likely will pay a little bit more, but that might be worth it for you. On the other hand, it may not be worth it for you. This is a decision you have to make. But regardless of which decision you make, you need to adjust your expectations. Buying from a seller at AliExpress is a one-way trip. You're not sending anything back. You often have a return period for things for 30 days. So I recommend you buy at Amazon so you have that return period. But after that, you're on your own. If that means you throw it away or you just use it for donor parts, then that's the gamble you accepted to save that money because you were thinking it wasn't going to be a problem. And maybe you're right. And maybe you have that thing for years and it's trouble-free. We're not worried if it's trouble-free. We're only worried if there's trouble. What's the plan? Well, there is no plan. You're on your own. If you buy from a name brand, such as the Intel NUC or the ASUS, or I think I mentioned Acer, I think has a few. And again, Lenovo, HP, and Dell also make mini PCs. You're going to get the support you're accustomed to if you need it. But if those machines run great and never need support, then it wouldn't have made a difference and you just spent more than you had to. So it's really up to you to decide which one has more value to you. Is peace of mind more important, or is running the gamble more exciting and just as good? No wrong answer there. It's an answer uniquely yours, and it doesn't apply to anybody else but you. I cannot provide it to you, nor can anybody else provide that to you. This is for you to decide. And if you want to share your story after you made your decision as to whether or not it was a good decision or a bad one, well, I'd love to hear about it. So hopefully you'll tell us about it in the chat or in an email or something, and whether or not you'd do anything any differently. And if we get enough feedback from viewers and we can kind of build a consensus over, you know, one way or the other, overall people are okay with buying this stuff without a warranty, or overall they're not okay. I'd be kind of curious which way, because there's got to be more of one or the other, but I have no way of knowing, and just my own experience is not enough to gauge that. Nor would I ever sell any of that stuff to my customers, because it could ruin my reputation, and it could cost me a lot of money to replace it at my own expense, because I have a warranty to my customers, regardless of what my warranty from the vendor is. My customers don't give a rat's behind. You understand? They're already upset if they got inconvenienced with a bad piece of hardware. That's already damage enough. Now, if I have to take the money out of my pocket to replace it, that's no way to run a business. That's a good way to go out of business. So what you do at home, one thing. What I do in business, whole different story. There's a lot more at stake. So I make decisions according to running a business because I want to run my business. I don't want to have to shut my business down. So I look at it from a very different perspective than most of you. And I can tell you that my perspective is the safe perspective, regardless if you're in business or not. But it also may not be the cheapest. On the other hand, over the long haul, it may in fact be the cheapest. I don't know. Thanks to everybody for hanging out. Thanks for your participation, and thanks for making these videos possible, for the super chat contributions and Amazon gift cards and your memberships. They go a long way to helping me to get the content so I can speak my mind without having a company involved in telling me what I can or cannot say, or when I have to publish a video, or what my video has to be about. It's my channel. I'll make my videos on the subject I want to make them on. It just costs money. And so I want you to see where your money's going. And I hope that you enjoy the content and appreciate the timeliness of it. As I mentioned, one of the earliest channels on Gen 5, that AD15 mini computer, as far as I know, I'm the only one on YouTube that has a video review of it. I long for just having unique content, and it makes me feel like really offering you guys something different than you can find anywhere else. Not better, but different. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Something's happening. Is it a build? I hope so. That's what I had planned, but I guess it's in Amazon's hands at this point. I'll see y'all again very, very soon. Until next time, bye for now.